Hello, my name is Sarah Mackler. I am the Assistant Director of Career Advising in the O'Brien Center for Career Development. And today we're going to be doing our workshop on writing a cover letter. We want to be able to provide you with all that information. If you have found a job or internship you're trying to apply to and you've never written a cover letter before, this is a great resource to watch and use in order to help you better prepare for that process. So I'm going to get started by sharing my screen with you. So we put this meme or e-card on here just to lighten the mood a little bit. But a lot of people feel this way when they think about writing cover letters, and I hope that you don't. But I think realistically, a lot of people do. And I think the reason why is because they don't really understand the full point of cover letters. In classes, I'll ask if anybody agrees with this and who doesn't like writing cover letters and why. And the main thing a lot of students tell me is that they feel like, writing a cover letter, they've already done their resume, so why do they have to do a cover letter and put the same information in there? And what I tell them is because you're not really supposed to put the exact same information as your resume into your cover letter. The cover letter really lets you delve a little bit deeper, give specific examples that maybe don't fit into your resume in that exact context, and really align yourself with the position. There may be a few of you who have had all of the exact experience for the type of job you might be applying to, but a lot of you might be going for your first internship and don't have much relevant experience. And this gives you the opportunity to make connections of your coursework, your part-time jobs, and you can make that connection directly to the job or internship that you're applying to. So kind of getting started thinking about cover letters, remember this is a formal business document, so your grammar and tone are really important. The flow of the document is really important. And like I mentioned before, the purpose is for this to introduce you to the employer, to highlight the qualifications that you have for the position, even if they're not as obvious just from reading your resume. And to provide additional information. So what are some experiences you've had that maybe aren't the top of your resume? And then detail why you're a good match for this position. So why should they hire you and not somebody else with similar experience? And it provides an example of your writing skills. Almost every position you're going to need to utilize your writing skills, and whether that's the main function of the job or not, they want to make sure people are strong writers. In order to prepare to do this, make sure you're reading the job description carefully. They are telling you what they want in the position, so make sure you read that and tell them how you have what they want. Visit the organization or company's website and say, what do I bring to this position, department, school, nonprofit, corporation? What do you bring to this particular job? That's what you're really talking about, which is why cover letters are unique for each position. You're not sending the exact same cover letter to two different jobs. So the first paragraph is the introduction. So you want to start with a convincing opening statement, aligning yourself with the organization or company, the specific position or the industry. You want to state the position by name as well as the company or organization by name. Again, these are specific letters for each job you're applying to, and so you want to make sure they know that this is not just for any old job, this is for the job that you're applying to. And then provide a compelling statement of interest, so something that shows your enthusiasm, that shows your passion or interest for the area, and really remember that there could potentially be hundreds of applicants for each position that you're applying to, so you really want to make your application stand out, and having a solid cover letter is one way to do that. Paragraphs 2 and 3, your cover letter may be 3 paragraphs or 4 paragraphs. could be 5 paragraphs, likely won't. 3 or 4 is probably the most common, but in those body paragraphs, you want to make sure you're aligning your strengths and experiences with the position. So provide specific examples to back up your statements. You can't just say you have experience with something. You need to provide an example of a time you had that experience and talk about what happened because of it. So think about this as a research paper. You need to back up anything that you say in a research paper with evidence. Typically it's a citation. In this, the evidence is your experiences. So if you have a particular skill, provide an example of that. Make sure you note any specific accomplishments or achievements. This can really support how you're going to align with the organization and what they're looking for. Again, in the cover letter, you want to be really specific and give those specific pieces of information. And then in the conclusion, that is the call to action. So reiterate your interest, why you're a good match for the position. You want to invite follow-up. So I look forward to speaking with you more about this position. Thank them for their consideration. The conclusion should be to the point and succinct, but an appropriate conclusion. Make sure that you're using strong and confident language. So often people say, I hope to hear back from you soon. Try to avoid using the word hope. It doesn't sound confident. So instead say, I look forward to speaking with you soon. When you say hope, it suggests you don't know. I don't know if you will want to talk to me further, but say, I look forward to speaking with you soon. That shows confidence. I know I'm a strong candidate, so I know we'll be speaking again. So here's kind of an outline, obviously without the content in it, but an outline of what your cover letter will look like. So note the header on this, would match and be identical to that you use on your resume. You want to have the date that you're sending it. So even if you write it 3 days before, try to update the date the day that you send it. The contact's name, their title, their organization, and the organization's address. And then dear Mr. or Ms., their last name. Be sure to research whether that is the appropriate title for them, whether they're a doctor or something else. You want to make sure you're using an appropriate title for them. You may not have a direct contact name for every position you apply to. In that case, it is fine to say to whom it may concern, dear hiring manager. You can use any of those, and you can forego the contact name and title from the top section. Do your due diligence to try to research somebody, but if you can't find somebody, that's okay as well. Then you'll have those paragraphs. Sincerely, leave 3 spaces and your name. So then on the side, we kind of have a little checklist. Once you write that, be sure to proofread. Read through that again. Check for any spelling errors. Spell check is a great thing, but sometimes we spell the word we mean to write incorrectly, but it is a correct word. Spell check is not going to pick that up. So make sure you proofread. Make sure you save it. Like I said, these are unique letters for each job you're applying to. I know some people will edit past letters. That's okay if you're applying to similar types of jobs, but you don't want to accidentally send the wrong cover letter to the wrong organization. Sleep on it. You guys might be doing work at odd hours. So 1 a.m., most people are not working in a typical job during that time, but you guys might be up late doing some of this. You don't want to email somebody at 1 in the morning your application. So sleep on it and wait till the next day to send it. Get a second opinion. So, if this is your first time writing a cover letter, I strongly encourage and recommend that second opinion to be from your career advisor. If you've written multiple cover letters before, you might just have a peer look at it, or a friend, a parent. That's okay too. Often they can catch things that are really overt that you just didn't notice because you've read it so many times. You know what you expect it to say, but it doesn't always say that, and so somebody else can catch that for you. So definitely always get a second opinion. And then once you've done all of that, you can send it on its way to apply for the position that you're applying to. General things to remember when you're sending in applications or resumes. Make sure that you have a professional email to use. So you can use your Merrimack email address. You can use a Gmail address that you have. Otherwise, if you have any old emails that maybe you have from high school or hanging around that you get your like coupon emails to. Try not to use those. Make sure it has your name in some capacity, last name, first name, in there. If sending by email, always make sure you have a subject line. You do not want it to say no subject when it comes through. The subject line should say the job position in there. So application for chemical engineer, whatever, whatever the title of the position is. Attachments should be PDFs if possible. Word documents, if you are on a Mac computer and I'm on a PC, which I am and most of you guys are, they look a little distorted sometimes when they get sent to me. So you want to make sure it's saved as a PDF, and it should look the same on everyone's computer regardless of their screen size. And then make sure that they're titled appropriately. So Sam Smith resume.pdf is totally fine. 14th resume revision or 14th cover letter revision, you don't want them to know how many times you have to work on it. It's totally fine if it takes 14 tries the first time. You'll get easier afterwards, but we don't need the person reviewing your documents to know that. So here's an example of a position that you might be applying to. So it's a teaching position. I work at, I primarily advise the students of the School of Education, but you can do this with any position regardless of the type of job you're applying to, whether you're an engineer, marketing, accounting, health sciences, any of them. Look at jobs, and you can do this exact same exercise. Go through this position and highlight from the description things that you have in common with it, things you have experience with, things that you know you can do because you've done them before. So really go through this. This is an abbreviated job description. And then on my next slide is, what I know about students. These are things that most of them will have experience with or align with the job description. That's what you're going to focus on when you write your cover letter. So if you don't have experience with something that they ask for, that's okay. You don't have to have 100% experience with everything, but we're not going to address those things. We're only going to talk about the things we do have experience with. So that's really what you want to focus on. Then you can take these and start applying different pieces of experience you have, and that's what you're going to talk about in your cover letter. So this is really helpful to do. I think it's helpful to do every single time you write a cover letter. Some people might choose to do it when they're just starting out and then don't feel the need to do it, but it's something that I would strongly encourage for every single one, to make sure you're talking about what they're looking for. And then you want to research the organization to further connect to the cover letter. So this is the particular school connecting with, but you can research the organization, the company, see what's on their website, see what's on their social media channels, and you can use that information in your cover letter to make a stronger, more direct connection to the position that shows that it's unique for the job that you are applying to. Some places will have an application system where it's often called an HRIS system, where you're filling out an application, attaching all this in there, and then it's all in one home. A lot of other places, specifically smaller places, may have you just email your documents directly to a particular person or email address. So if you are sending them via email, make sure that you have a professional email. We talked about that before. Always have a subject line, and type the person's email last. So if you've ever been typing fast, maybe you're not paying attention and you accidentally send an email before you've attached things or finished what you were doing, you might have done it to your professors or your career advisor at some point. That's okay for us, but you don't want to do that when you're applying to a job. So when that's the case, if you type their email address in last, even if you accidentally send it, if it has no place to go, it will not send. So make sure that you put that in last, make sure the documents are all attached and it's ready to go before you send it. When you are sending the email, you need to put something in the body of the email. It is not the cover letter. The cover letter is attached. So you do want to address it to a specific person, dear Mr. or Ms. So-and-so, to whom it may concern, dear hiring manager. You can address it the same way you've addressed your cover letter. Leave the spaces between paragraphs so we're not indenting on an email, and it can be pretty quick and to the point. for, letting them know what you're attaching and that you're applying to the position. Make sure you proofread the attached documents. Again, attach them as PDFs and make sure they're named appropriately. And then you can send it once it's ready to go. So after you've done now that you've watched this and you've been looking at this, here are some next steps. So if you're watching this, I assume you may have some jobs or internships you want to apply to. Once you have a position you're interested in, draft up a cover letter. Use what you learned here. We have a cover letter guide on Handshake, which gives a few different cover letter examples that you can see. Make sure that the cover letter is tailored for that specific position. Highlight your strengths and provide strong examples. Once you've written a draft of it, come in and review it with a career advisor. So you can do it in our office. You could go to the Writing Center as well. We have walk-in hours Monday through Thursday from 1 to 3, or you can schedule an appointment in Handshake directly with your career advisor. And when you come, make sure that you have your resume, cover letter, and the job description for the position accessible. Those are things we're going to need to see to make sure that you've included all of the right information and that it's well connected to the job description. And then just remember that it might take a couple times before your cover letter is really strong and ready to go. So please keep that in mind. Allow some extra time. If you have a cover letter and you want to have it reviewed and you need the deadline for the internship is the very next day, we're still happy to help you, but note that you might not leave that appointment with a fully done cover letter. You might still have things that you need to work on, especially the first few times you're doing it. It does take a few times to get it right. And so that is the basics of getting started writing a cover letter. So I hope that you got some good information out of that and you feel really prepared to get started writing a cover letter for a job or internship. And please reach out to your individual career advisor or the O'Brien Center directly. We're happy to help you through that process. Good luck.